how have you grown, maybe mentally and physically, since your first marathon, which was not that long ago, to like the most recent one you did, which was New York, right?
Right. So, yeah, in 2020, right, like a month before COVID shut everything down, I was able to run the Cowtown Marathon in Fort Worth. And leading up to it, I was probably doing 40 miles max a week, which is crazy because you don't do well in marathons without a good aerobic base, a good volume. And I ran the race training basically with no easy miles, just everything going out and running at marathon pace. So my whole, whatever it was, 12 weeks was everything at marathon pace for about 40 miles a week.
Did you get injured at all?
No, thank God.
That's impressive.
Yeah. So I was able to, I thought I almost got injured during the race because that was the worst I've ever felt. Glad that was my first one. It's behind me, but that was the worst I've ever felt in a race. Definitely hit the wall. I scraped out with the 306. So
that's impressive.
I just didn't know what I was doing. So I didn't even really know if that was great or not. I had a buddy tell me like the day after, like, dude, you qualified for Boston. I'm like, cool. What, is that good? So I had no idea. So, I've come a long way in 4 years, just the knowledge and how to train and how to be smart.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
So did you know what the Boston qualifying time was at the time?
I had people tell me, they kind of said, oh, so are you going to shoot for this? And I'm like, I'm just going to go try to finish fast.
Yeah.
So I knew that was kind of out there. But again, little knowledge of kind of the prestige of that race or any of these majors for that matter.
What do you think gave you the confidence to be like, oh, I'm going to go and try and qualify for Boston, my very first marathon?
I was running pretty good paces according to people that knew what they were doing. I had friends that have raced several times before that, and half marathons, full marathons, and I'd send them some of my workouts. Hey, I'm right at about a 6:45 pace here. Is that pretty good? You're holding that for 20 miles. You should be able to. So I had an idea of what I wanted to shoot for, but I just had no clue that it would feel that bad. Once you get to mile 22, 23, it was brutal.
Oh, dude, it hit me like a train. My first marathon, I remember. Did you know anything about like nutrition back then? Like, did you
Zero.
Carb load? Did you take gels? Anything?
Zero. Yeah.
Did you feel it all during the race?
Water and Gatorade.
Oh my gosh.
I don't even think I had.
You really didn't do
took
gels?
No, I don't even think I took gels for that
Holy
race.
cow.
Yeah.
What's the BQ time for whatever your age was at that time?
So I was 41. I was 41, maybe 40, about to turn 41, and the BQ time was 3:10. So,
oh my gosh.
So I scraped under it, and then COVID happened, and they lowered the standard. So I actually didn't go from that first qualifying time.
Dude, first marathon, 41 years old, 3:06.
Yeah.
With terrible training, it sounds like.
Horrible training, no coach, just going out and just doing it when I could and trying to run fast. That was just like, if you're going to run a marathon, you got to run fast all the time.
Dude, I think most newbies have that mindset.
Sure.
And you either get injured or it just turns into a big sufferfest, basically. Yeah. Before that, were you active? Like, did you play sports? Did you like what did you do before to have that kind of base inherent fitness to go run a 3:06?
Yeah. So I grew up playing football and baseball. But football turned into kind of my love.
Yeah.
Football, I played in high school in Shreveport, Louisiana, Evangel Christian. I played on a high school team that went 60-0 over 4 years. So a lot of success. They're still doing really well. Then I went on to play college football at Louisiana Tech. I was a wide receiver there. And so that competitive drive, that being on a team, that really kind of stoked that fire. And it's always been a big part of my life. My brother played quarterback for the University of Miami, and then he went on to play in the NFL for 4 years. So football has been a huge part of our family for a long time.
Yeah.
And then, I went to school, got my master's in physical therapy, settled down, started a family. I have three boys, and I kind of just wasn't competing in anything for that stretch of time. Getting close to my 40-year-old birthday, I have a couple of coworkers that run recreationally, and they're just like, hey, we think you should come out and do this half marathon with us. But it's the day before your 40th birthday. Come on out and do it. It ended up being the Marathon in Waco. I don't know if you've heard of that one. it's advertised, Jeremy, as the toughest half in Texas.
Oh, wow.
And the reason being is because over the 13 miles, it goes up and down the hills in Cameron Park. So you're going up and down like six just major hills.
Oh, dang.
So a lot of elevation. And I thought, that competitive spirit in me started coming in, and I was like, if these guys, can do it, I can go train for this and do it. So I started training for it. It took me about 6 weeks. I built up to about 10 miles on a long run.
So you weren't doing any running before that?
Zero. Yeah.
Wow.
Zero running. I would go to the gym occasionally and, mess around, but nothing serious. Cause I just didn't really have the time. My kids were really young. So I signed up for that race, ended up doing it. I think I was like a 136 or something.
On a hard course.
On a hard course. And again, I was like, is that good? I still saw people finishing in front of me. So I was like, man, I can get better. So I really enjoyed it. It was fun, finishing a race, especially the first one you ever do. It's exhilarating whether you feel bad or not.
Yeah.
So I signed up for 2 more that year. That was 2019. I think I did one in Irving and then one in Shreveport, Louisiana, where my family lives. So we did those 2.
Those are all half marathons?
All halves. I got a little better each time. I think the last one I did that year was like a 129, barely. Dang. So I'm like, and then when I finished that one, I'm like, there's no way that I could do this back to back, like a full marathon.
Right.
Like zero chance, because I was just emptying the tank. And I have a friend, Trent Wyrick, he's in Shreveport, and he's just like, man, I think you need to start training for it. And here's one. He circled the Cowtown on the calendar, and he said, just here's I'm gonna talk you through it. And again, he's just like telling me the mileage, but I go out and I'm just running everything hard like I'm running those half marathons. And that was kind of the start of getting ready for that first marathon, because I had done those 3 halves.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I can't believe you really haven't dealt with any injuries, or have you dealt with any injuries since getting into it?
No, very lucky, that I haven't. I know that's a big part of running. I'm a physical therapist, so
right.
I do know certain things, injury prevention, prehab, certain techniques that are good. And I think that plays a huge part, for any runner. And then again, strength training as well is a huge part of what I do. And I don't do nearly as much as probably you do. I see these deadlifts. And
I probably do too much.
this crazy deadlift and bench press routine, but enough with body weight, little kettlebells, things to work on those muscles that definitely need the stabilization.
Yeah. I mean, that's all you need, really. It just depends on your goals. Like if your goal is to like be a super efficient runner, like continue to get faster. I just like lifting weights too much. Maybe it's my ego. I don't know what it is, but
it's kept you pretty injury free though, right?
Yeah. I really, since I started pairing running with lifting intentionally, I don't think I've had any kind of significant injuries over the last like 2 years or so, which is great. Because that's obviously, one of the biggest things to longevity and continue to build on your marathon time and get faster is just being able to show up. And if obviously you're injured, you can't show up.
Yeah. My coach tells me all the time, like, the win is getting to the start line injury free.
Yep.
You've gone through 12 to 14 weeks of a lot of mileage, a lot of wear and tear, and you get to that start line, you're lucky. And you're one of the few probably.
Yeah. Especially for not really running for the first 40 years of your life. I mean, I'm sure you did a little bit in sports growing up, but not like intentionally running, dozens of miles a week. Most people, I feel like that would just wreck them. So having that probably base strength and foundation and physical therapy and that strong foundation probably helped a lot, I would imagine.
For sure.
Yeah. So after your first marathon, where do we go from there? That was 2021, you said?
That was 2020.
2020,
right before COVID. So we had there was a little lapse there with the races being shut down and different things. I believe the next official marathon I did was the spring of about a year later, 2021. We did one down in Waxahachie. A friend of mine puts that on.
Is that Texas or where's that at?
That's Texas, yeah.
Okay.
So that's between Waco and Fort Worth.
Okay.
Kind of right there. So we did Waxahachie, then Dallas. And that was where I qualified for Boston that second time. I think I was a 3:08, and that was another race that just wrecked me.
So you got a little bit slower.
Yeah, I did actually. So yeah, a little bit hillier that time.
Okay, yeah, that's true.
But definitely, it was a good race that Dallas puts on a great marathon.
Yeah.
And then we're talking going into 2022 was when I first did Boston.
How was that first Boston?
It was awesome, man. I mean, that race, you and I have talked about it, but there's so much around it. There's such respect level for it that when you finally get to go onto that course, you realize, the 100+ years of history of that race, and you kind of race it with, it's almost like a surreal out of body, experience.
100%.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely, Chicago, I for some reason thought it was maybe going to feel kind of like Boston, but it's so different.
Yeah.
I mean, Chicago is great, don't get me wrong, but there's something about the energy at Boston. You can just feel it the whole weekend even. Like everybody's walking around wearing the marathon jackets. The whole city is like blue and yellow for the marathon colors. And I mean, all the spectators. And you feel like an all-star just walking around knowing that you did the marathon or you're about to run the marathon. Boston's a cool city in itself, but the marathon weekend is so cool.
Yeah.
What did you run in Boston? What time?
That first time was 3:12.
It's a tough course.
I was not ready for just the up and down of it. The hills on the back half, especially, were really tough, and I just hadn't trained enough on the hills. You guys have a lot of hills down here in Austin, but where I live, it's hard to get on a lot of hills to prepare for that. So I think that took its toll, and it was just, it was a hard course. So it's not something that you're going to go just PR every time. Yeah,
I think it can be a really fast course. I mean, that's where the American record was set.
Yeah.
The unofficial American record. But it's, you have to be really strategic, I feel like.
Correct.
And I feel like it's almost impossible to get right your first time.
It lulls you into it because it's downhill.
Yeah.
The first half, it's downhill. So if you go too hard, your quads are going to be feeling it towards the second half.
Yeah, downhill can be deceiving because you run faster, but if you overrun it, you're just your quads get wrecked. And I don't think you realize how much of a beating they take till you get to the uphills, and you start, oh my gosh, I have nothing left in my legs.
Yeah.
So is the next marathon? So Boston 2022.
Boston 2022, then Chicago 2022.
Oh right, okay.
And I knew it was flat. I trained throughout the summer in Texas that summer. So
that helps a lot.
Oh my gosh, training through the summer for a fall marathon is such an underappreciated thing.
Yeah.
Because in the middle of it, you're just like, gosh, this is brutal, and you have to heat adjust, and you just don't really know, how much it's helping you until you get there.
Yeah.
And that Chicago, I just absolutely smoked it. We came out and. The best I've ever felt. I was shooting for sub 3 and ended up 2:51.
Holy cow!
So even I was just like at the end, I kept looking at my watch and I had to get to the finish line and call my wife, and I was like, "What was the official time?" Because I still couldn't grasp what had just happened.
That's
so
amazing.
It was pretty crazy.
Was the weather pretty similar?
Very similar.
Yeah.
Mid 40s. Clear skies. It was a beautiful day.
Yeah, this year Chicago was so great.
Yeah, it almost felt exactly the same.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's such a fast course. I knew it was gonna be fast. I'd never run it until this year, but I didn't realize how fast it was actually gonna be. Like, I feel like you don't ever really feel any of the inclines. There's like one or two that I remember, but they're so short.
Right.
Obviously, that one, what is it, Mount Roosevelt? Everybody calls it.
Yeah, the last 800 meters.
Yeah, that one. I definitely remember that one. But at that point, you're so close. You're like, okay, just whatever's left in the tank.
Yeah, and then you get past the finish line, and the lady that's putting the medal on me said they just set the world record, and I was like,
yeah,
Kiptum. She said 2 hours and 35 seconds, and I said that doesn't surprise me as good as this course felt.
Yeah,
as good as it felt today.
So you did Chicago 2022 2:51. Where we go from there?
Chicago, I did a marathon called the BCS Marathon in Boston. I was going to say Boston College, College Station.
Okay.
Right here, close by, and actually ran off the course in that one, Jeremy.
Oh no! What happened?
I was on pace for a PR. I was at mile 17, took a wrong turn.
Oh no!
So
was the course like marked weird, or was it? Yeah,
it
like
was not
mile 17
marked
brain?
well. I was not the only person that had that problem.
Oh no!
So I wasn't very happy at the moment.
Yeah.
But I ended up able to finish with a good friend of mine, and we finished in 3:24 together, and just had kind of a nice moment there. But I was like, come on, man, this is. But it's just you get into at that point, I'd been used to running really big marathons. So you just turn it on autopilot and follow the people in front of you. In this case, I was by myself. There was 2 leaders out in front of me. I was in 3rd place. Took a wrong turn.
No.
Yeah.
How far off did you go?
I think I went off about 2 miles actually.
So you did like 28 miles or
Yeah,
something?
I ended up over 28.
Oh my gosh.
So that's my first ultra though, right?
Yeah, there we go. Dude, that's one way of looking at it,
Yeah.
I guess. Oh my gosh. Hopefully they fixed that since then.
Yeah, I had to talk with some people, and they felt really bad, but
oh man,
it is what it is.
That sucks. Yeah, especially in the moment too, because like you're probably, I mean, if you're top 3, you're like, I might be able to win this thing. I'm gonna have a really good day.
Yeah,
and that happens. It's hard to not just get eaten up by it.
Yeah, and when you're running fast at mile 17, 18, you're starting to like one wrong thing happens and it starts to go off the track. So it's tough. It's tough to come back from that.
Was Boston the next race after that?
So that was December, and so Boston would have been the next one. Boston 2023 this past April.
Dude, you've done so many marathons.
Yeah, I've done 5. I figured it out in my head. I've done 5 in the last 13 months, and not just like running them, but like racing them. So it's been nice, in the past few weeks to take it easy and take a little break. But that was Boston, and the goal was, as you and I had talked beforehand, was 245 or sub 245, and I really felt good. Training, I trained specifically or intentionally on more hills.
Nice.
I went over to Fort Worth a lot with my coach Richard Garcia, and he put me on a lot of hills in the TCU area, and so we really focused on the hills in the back half of a long run, or trying to simulate Boston. And so I felt a lot more confident, also because it was my second time I'd seen the course, and went up to Boston and did 250. So the goal wasn't sub 245; it was sub 250.
Yeah, I think we had the same goal.
Yeah, it was sub 250.
Yeah.
So I did 250.04, and on Boylston Street, when you can see the clock, and I was like, it's like 249 low, and I'm just sprinting, dude, and I come in at 250.04, and I was like,
oh my god,
still so happy,
yeah.
With my result, 22 minutes faster than the year before, but that 4 seconds just ate me up. It ate me up.
That kind of stuff will keep you up at night.
No doubt, dude. No doubt.
Yeah, I mean, 4 seconds over the course of 2 hours and 50 minutes. I mean, I don't have to tell you that. I'm sure you thought it in every way, but I mean, it's like one little thing here or there.
Absolutely.
That's such a small amount of time.
It adds
That's
up.
tough.